My name is Amber Jones. First, I am an alum of the University of Minnesota. I graduated in 2015 with a Bachelor of Arts in African American African Studies, and I also minored in political science. Currently, I'm the outreach coordinator for the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage, which is a state agency and ethnic council for the state of Minnesota. And I've also been a part of community organizing work in the Twin Cities for just under a decade. I'm originally from Chicago, too. Currently, in my role with the council, I am responsible for overseeing our outreach strategy for the state. So really focusing on the work in community and building relationships with community members of African heritage across the diaspora, and also in the Twin Cities, as well as in greater Minnesota hubs such as Duluth, Rochester, Mankato, and St. Cloud. It's a very tall order for a job, especially for an agency that has 4 full-time staff. But it's something I really enjoy doing. And to also take a step back, the Council for Minnesotans of African Heritage, we're focused on advising the governor and the legislature on issues that affect African heritage people and making sure that our communities are able to participate and benefit from the processes, procedures at the state of Minnesota. So that's where my current work lies. In the past, I have worked for nonprofit organizations, really focusing on education organizing and policy. I've also done youth work and community engagement work as well in various nonprofits in Minneapolis and St. Paul. I'm excited about this opportunity. I just want to thank Professor Rose Brewer, who was one of my teachers when I was a student and still a close mentor of mine. Thank you for that invitation. I'm excited to continue to have conversations with people across the country, particularly about the work that is happening in Minneapolis and in the state of Minnesota. We're in a movement moment right now where a lot of eyes are on us. And this is not the first time that we've had some attention like this, but on this level, it's very new for this current moment. And there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to share. And there's a context and there is a history. We did not just arrive here out the blue. There are a lot of things that led us to this space and to this moment. And so I'm excited to have that conversation with other scholars and activists and organizers across the country so that we can learn from one another, people can learn from us, we can learn from them so that our movements can be strengthened. I also did a discussion with a group in Chicago, literally the day that George Floyd's memorial in Minneapolis occurred, and literally left the memorial to have that conversation and just being able to really be able to build with community organizers in different contexts and different metropolitan areas, and to be able to see the similarities and the differences, but be able to learn from each other was very nourishing. It was in a very intense situation at that time. And so being able to continue to do that work and be able to support each other and be in solidarity with each other is really why I'm excited for this event. Personally, honestly, I'm really encouraged. I'm very much strengthened by the support of our comrades in different areas. I'm not gonna lie, it was very challenging those first couple weeks here in the Twin Cities. And sometimes depending on what hat I had on, because I have several hats in community, on some days I felt very supported and heard, other days I did not, right? And so I think being able to be in more spaces where people are wanting to lean in and to connect and to join hands and really to support each other in the work, right? I think that is just so critical, it's so important, because none of this is happening in a vacuum, right? We are all interconnected in the struggle for freedom and for justice and for liberation. And there are going to be moments where the focus is not on you and the support is not about you, and it's about you extending your hand in support of another. And there are times when you're going to need that help back. And so that's something I have really noticed and learned in this moment, is that there are going to be moments where I need to lean on my comrades. And the more that I build those relationships with people across the country, the more I can be strengthened, and also I can strengthen others as well. So that's why I'm really excited about this collaborative work that we're seeking to do. I have not been on this earth pretty long, but I do feel very hopeful. I have a lot of emotions. I have some fears. I have some skepticism in some ways, but I also have a lot of hope, because eyes are opening, because souls are awakening, because people are starting to become stirred in their spirits. Their hearts are being loosened to the injustice that they have been able to ignore for so long. I knew something was up when I started seeing, I ain't gonna lie, like suburban white folks organize their own Black Lives Matter protests. Like, let me laugh about that real quick. But I knew something was different. And, you know, I studied history throughout my degree. So I also know that a lot of this is not new. A lot of this is kind of cyclical. However, I do know from a spiritual perspective that there's hope within me, because it seems like anything can happen now, and there's an upswell of people, not just people on the front lines, not just people who are most directly affected, not just people who already kind of cared for a while, but an upswell of people from all different types of walks of life and backgrounds who cannot see this injustice and be quiet anymore. And once we have that upswell, that critical mass, now it's our job to make sure that we're able to shepherd that energy towards systemic change. And so I'm very hopeful right now. And I think that we're in a critical moment where that shepherding piece, there's so many people who want to do something. There's so many people who want to support, who want to contribute to the change. How do we make sure we shepherd that energy and that fire into lasting change? So I'm very hopeful. And there's so many smart people in our country who have been thinking about those answers for a long time. And it's just a matter of us coming together and being united in that work. And so I'm very hopeful in the midst of all the emotions I have felt, particularly over this past month and a half. Coming out of a lot of that emotional work, there's still a lot of hope.